The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, aka the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. I can't even do it. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. As always, thank you for tuning in and joining us. We are very excited to have you guys here with us today, and I'm very excited for Derek to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, they wouldn't put the Snapchat filters on us for the show, so we're thinking of actually just walking off set. I don't even want to do it, you know. Are you going to stay?
I'll hang out for 26 more minutes.
Okay, all right, cool. Then I guess I'll stay because I'm a chameleon and I have to fit in. So, All right, cool. So you're on a show.
Yes.
I think about drug addiction.
Yeah. So my name's Derek. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. You know, I guess my story starts with, you know, what I considered a normal American household. That's divorced parents. You know, that was my normal thing. My family was a little different than, you know, the older I got, the more I realized how different my family was, in a sense where, like, my family is very loyal. However, not a lot of communication. No one really talked about their problems. You know, it wasn't a lot of, like, once my parents separated, it was just kind of like every person fended for themselves. I had an older sister, a younger brother. You know, my dad worked a lot. My mom was gone for some years once they had gotten divorced.
How old were you?
They had made an announcement about their divorce when I was in 5th grade. However, due to the like structure of my house, and like where my bedroom was located on the 1st floor, everyone else was on the 2nd. Like, I heard all of the fights and things that lead up to a divorce, so I kind of knew that it was coming anyways. So I was about 11 or 12 years old at that point.
Okay.
Young kid, a lot of pain. Were
you in pain before the divorce?
No, life was actually pretty normal.
Okay.
I mean, like, good, I guess. You know, I guess middle class family, lower middle class, right around that area. I mean, had the things that I needed, not necessarily everything I wanted, but, like, you know, there was always food on the table, the lights were on. But after, you know, my parents had separated, you know, I was chock full of resentments, and like any 12-year-old boy, I chose to, like, lash out with a lot of things. Started getting a lot of trouble, fighting constantly.
At 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say that I was a behavioral addict long before I was a drug addict.
Yeah, that was my solution for all of my problems was, you know, if I didn't like something, it wasn't going my way, or I couldn't, you know, talk something into going the way I wanted, like, I would lash out physically. You know, I got in trouble with the police at an early age, got myself into some trouble. You know, I got put on probation as a kid for fighting. You know, I got locked up for the first time while I was a minor at 15. You know, I was on probation for a fight, and I had tested positive for cocaine, in which I went away to a juvenile detention center for a little bit of time. And it really didn't, you know, obviously I didn't learn anything from it.
So 15's like middle school.
Yeah, I think I just gotten into high school.
Ninth grade.
Yeah.
So you're on, like, juvenile probation. You get a positive talk screen for cocaine.
Yeah.
They send you away for a little bit.
I got, you know, once I got back into high school, like, you know, I did very well with my schoolwork. However, I was a disciplinary problem. I didn't want to listen to anything.
Who does, right?
Yeah, I was, you know, under the belief that I was smarter than the teachers, smarter than the principals, smarter than the kids in my class. I had no attention span. You know, I'm a very visual learner in the way that, you know, schools taught. Like I couldn't mesh well with it. You know, I would just see something and just come up with the issue, like the problem and the solution for it that way. I started selling drugs. You know, started selling weed at an early age, and that carried on after high school. Got arrested and on a pretty serious drug charge. Did some time on that. Shortly.
How old are you?
At that point in time, I was 19. I got
19.
arrested.
So you're a young adult, and now you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I had delusions of grandeur with how and why I wanted my life to be the way I wanted it to be, and that I wanted to be a drug dealer.
Well, I mean, done right, it could be glorious.
Yeah,
you know?
it was
Yeah.
extremely lucrative, and I did well until I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, shortly after that time that I had gotten arrested, I got prescribed painkillers, and you know, outside of like the drinking, because I drank very heavily. You know, I identify number one as an alcoholic because that was my first love. Alcohol was the thing that I always went to when I was a teenager, in high school, after high school, before I'd ever tried any sort of like real serious drug. Like again, you know, in the early in my story with the cocaine thing, that, you know, I kind of got talked into it by a close family member who like was older than me. So I did it. I was told that it wasn't going to come up on a drug screen. Cocaine does come up on a drug test, in case you guys are curious. And so, you know, I never really wanted to get into drugs, but I got prescribed them, and pretty sure that phenomenon of craving was kicked off immediately.
What did you get prescribed them for? Just curious.
Oral surgery.
Okay.
Turns out back in, you know, when I'm 33 now, when I was 19, 14 years ago, you could get.
That's good quick math.
Yeah, you
All
get
right.
Percocets for anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I did. I abused them off of the rip. I went through the first bottle, which is supposed to be like a 2-week prescription, I think in just under 72 hours. Got dry socket because I wasn't managing pain at that point. I was high and was like breaking all the rules of what you're supposed to be doing.
Just like picture you high, just ripping butts, dude.
Yeah,
with
ripping
open wounds
butts.
in
I
your
went
mouth.
out for lobsters on the day after I got the surgery. You name it, I was doing it. And I called the doctor, and they sent more over to the pharmacy, no questions asked. They even upped the dose and gave me
Wow.
another refill after the fact. So they had a customer immediately. But in my sick, twisted mind, like, I'm not doing drugs because it's medicine.
Yeah.
You know, and that kicked off.
Which is like the thinking to a lot of people, because to most people it is medicine.
Yeah.
To us, it's not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I did. I went away for some time on that drug charge. It was my first adult offense. So it wasn't a whole lot of jail time. There was some jail time, but a whole lot of supervision that was negotiated before like the trial and everything. So after, you know, after the doctor kind of cut off those prescriptions, here I am with a problem. And, you know, at this point, like, I'm getting headaches when I'm not taking them. My nose is runny, my stomach's queasy, and like, I don't know why, but I know that like maybe there's something going on, and these pills, they make me feel better because obviously I'm in pain. So I started buying those in bulk, selling Percocets. You know, that led into Oxycontin and Dilaudid and Opanas, and you know, down the line. I kept on getting in trouble with probation, with failing my drug tests. I would be in and out of jail. I was in and out of jail in my early 20s quite often because I could not abstain from using any drugs. And I didn't understand why everyone else had a problem with what I was doing. The final straw on that is I had failed a final drug test on probation for Percocet, and I got sentenced to prison. Spent nearly 2 years in prison for failing a drug test. And I did not use during my sentence. I certainly was not living a spiritual lifestyle by any means, but there was other things that, I was able to abstain from any drugs there. However, when I left prison, I went back to what I knew and what I felt that I was worth, and that was going back to the street life, back to selling drugs. Except for at this point, those pain pills are no longer available. And through my old contacts, everyone's doing dope now. So I got introduced to heroin at about 25, 26 years old. And my thought was just cool as long as I just don't do it. That didn't last more than maybe the first weekend. Started doing heroin regularly. I was snorting it for a very long period of time. I didn't like myself.
Yeah.
I didn't like anyone else. At this point, I had felt that society had done a disservice by me, and that I wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for everyone else, which clearly it was not the case. I would say probably about 3.5, 4 years ago or so, I had picked up a needle for the first time. My father had just had a stroke and was hospitalized, in which is where he had stayed until he passed away last year. I was struggling with employment, struggling with the rest of my family. I could not maintain any shred of sobriety or normalcy in my life. And, growing up, I had a lot of friends that their stories started out the exact same way as mine, and theirs ended when they picked up a needle. And so I felt like that was my only option because I could not figure out how to put the drugs down. And there was times like sprinkled in through all of this where I'd go to jail and I would get healthy, whether it was, went away for a month, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be, and I'm getting out healthy, and it's like, okay, well, I just can't do pills. I just can't do heroin. I don't have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with alcohol because I don't drink, vodka out of a plastic bottle. I'm not underneath the bridge. And those are the lies that I continuously told myself. And that is how every single one of my implosion has always started, where it's well, I can go out and have a drink. It's well, I can't, because those people that can do that, they don't end up picking up another substance or burning their lives to the ground. And that's one thing that I failed to recognize for a very long period of time. So I started using a needle. I didn't die. I'm not very good at killing myself either. And that brought in lower lows than I've ever imagined. It was to the point where when I'd be in my own house, if there were other people in my house, I would try and control my breathing just so people wouldn't know that I was there, because I was so disgusted with myself. I didn't want to be there. I didn't like myself. I hated myself, didn't like anyone else. And my perfect day was just solitude, be just me and myself. There's some good moments in there too. I was sober, mind you, white knuckling it when my daughter was born. But then, on the flip side of that, my son was born and I wasn't sober, and I narrowly missed my son's birth due to substances. Thankfully I was there, but only physically. Substances robbed me from a lot of different things. I went to treatment for my final time in 2020, the beginning of 2020. I was arrested December 4th of 2019. I had been up for days doing snow removal. I was mixing heroin with Xanax, and I fell out at the wheel of a car with the car in drive in the middle of an intersection. Probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. because I've not picked up a substance since. Spent about a month in jail. I had an option for bail. I had turned it down because I knew that mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I was absolutely defeated and I had nothing left to give. And I knew that had I left there on bail, I was going to pick up again and just end up dying. That was my bottom, was being woken up on the 5th, December 5th, which is my sober date. The 4th, I was not sober. And being in jail and not remembering how I got there. That's all, and like I'd never had one of those moments, and just kind of listening to the police reports and like having no recollection of, fighting with the police and being behind the wheel of a car or even getting even to that part of town. Like I just didn't know. And like I was fully in agreement with me being a danger to myself and other people. When I left jail, I went to a treatment center. I was there for a few days. I left there to go to another treatment center. The first place I went to was not conducive to my recovery. So I went to another treatment center, which I had friends that had been in similar situations that had worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and were living happy, fruitful lives and maintaining their sobriety. And like those are what they were doing was what everything that I had avoided.
Yeah.
And I had tried it every which way in my own terms is to rewrite the system and had no luck with that. So I figured that was literally the only thing that I had left to try that I had not done. Turns out I have more problems than just drugs and alcohol. When I'm running on self-will, I'm an asshole. And there was a lot of behavioral issues that I had to deal with as well, because like my substances have put me in a lot of situations where like doing the next right thing and being kind to another person is just not possible. Signs of weakness, which is just being a good human being, are exploited. So I had to like relearn how to just integrate back into society and be with other people that literally just wanted to help me. I had to learn to communicate with other men, which was probably one of the hardest things I had to do in my recovery. My only experience with communal living was jail, was prison, street life, where it's like you let people, you can have people close to you, but far enough away where they can't harm you. And it took some time to realize that like not everyone's out there to get you, I had a lot of trouble in my early recovery. I was asked to leave a lot of places because of my behavior. And, at some point, I kind of had that aha moment, kind of a God shot of like what my circumstances were. And like I had a choice to make where I was still sober, I was sober and still making very poor choices with my own thought process. I couldn't figure out right from wrong, and without any sort of guidance. And I went back into sober living, which I had gotten kicked out from a couple times because of my behavior, and kept my mouth shut. I started being more open and honest with myself and with others, and started working with a sponsor and starting to do the work. And like it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It gave me an opportunity to be part of a community, to have actual friends that I trust and care for and love. I have prior to getting into recovery, I didn't have any friends, and that's because I pushed them all away. I've through this program and making amends and taking accountability for what I've done wrong, I've gotten some of those friends back, but some I'll never get back. At least I don't know yet. It's sight unseen. I've had an opportunity to work in recovery. I've worked in recovery, I would say probably since I was about 7 or 8 months sober. And it's interesting to think that, because like when I had first gotten into sobriety, not recovery, but sobriety, like I was under the firm belief that like I was never going to sponsor anyone because and I was vocal about that, you know, because I didn't care about anyone else's problems. You know, woe is me. If you had problems like me, you wouldn't care either, you know? And like today, what life is like, you know, nothing's perfect. I've, you know, I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations in recovery. You know, I've been kicked out of numerous sober houses for my behavioral issues. I've lost jobs due to uncertainty with my availability through previous charges back in my active use, because I got a big mouth. You know, I've been dumped. I've had family members, friends pass away, but I've never picked up because I don't need to pick up. I've learned that picking up is never going to solve any problem I have, no matter how deep the pain is. Like it's if I choose to pick up, it's very temporary, and any time if I were to do that, it would compound any issue that I ever thought I had. One thing that I also learned about myself is like I am the master at making excuses for myself when it comes to how and why and whatever reason I can justify as to like why I picked up again. I don't make excuses anymore about that because like I don't have any reasons to do so. Recovery has given me back a lot of things. You know, first and foremost, most importantly is my children. You know, I've always been there for my kids physically, but I've always had substances too, sprinkled in and out of there. And like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, was I always there for them at all times? Was I giving them my 100%? Absolutely not. You know, I can't be there 100% in every which way if I have substance in my life. You know, I'm a brother again, a son. I'm a student. I'm a teacher. A sponsor.
I thought you meant you were going to school.
No, I'm
student to life.
Student to life. I continuously remain teachable, and that was something that like I was never able to do because like I could never see anyone else's side of things because like if I'm not thinking it, clearly it's wrong, you know. Yeah, I'm not really sure where else to go.
I mean, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
So your life is good today.
Yeah.
What else? So you work with other men.
Yeah. Through my recovery, you know, I've been blessed to have a lot of different opportunities within the community. Most recently, I was able to help with operating and opening up a sober house for men. It's a brand new program. It aligns 120% with like my visions and like my morals of how, you know, men in recovery should be, and the way that, you know, it's set up in such a way that it's 100% focused on people's recovery and giving people the best opportunities, successes in life.
So we're not here to promote that sober house, but I want to know about that sober house. So for people watching, that if like they're interested in what you have to say or about this sober house, they know where to reach out for that resource.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the name of the sober house?
Tabula Rasa.
And how do you say that?
Tabula Rasa.
And how do I get connected with that resource?
Can check out the website.
We've got a website.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How do I spell that?
TABULARASA.
Okay. And how many beds are at the sober house?
It's 11 beds.
11 beds. High accountability, high structure.
Yeah.
Men that really want to reform and change their lives and find relief, such as you. Okay, perfect. I've actually never been inside the house, but I've seen lots of photos of the house.
Beautiful.
It looks really nice. Yeah, it looks very nice. Also, the sober house is relatively new, but has a really good reputation in the community, and that means a lot, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So it appears as though you guys have already cultivated a good atmosphere over there. So just keep doing that. All right. So you recently helped open a sober house.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I see you around in the local community all the time, like being of service to other men and at meetings. For someone such as myself, I see a lot of people that look up to you. You know, at times I think it is that I look up to you as well, because I see you constantly doing the deal, and sometimes I get really discouraged and like I don't want to do the deal sometimes. It's just
Yeah,
like, ugh.
I've been there, you know.
Yeah.
Um, there's good and bad in life. You know, I'm not infallible. I have bad moments. I just, you know, to me, a bad day is a choice. And I don't make that choice anymore to let certain moments dictate my life. And like one thing I've learned, because I constantly watch and study people, and those that come before me, those that are following after me, and like coming into this, once I made the conscious decision to just like get out of the driver's seat, and I started watching those that were living happy lives, and
What
like
is your zodiac sign?
a Gemini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right.
You know, I started watching the people that had what I wanted, and like saw how they moved and how they operated, and like the things that they'd partake in and the things that they would stay away from. And like I noticed that they were taking commitments, giving newcomers rides to and from, just bringing someone out in one of the houses, you know, to grab a cup of coffee, to grocery shopping, and they're sitting up front and they're raising their hand and they're shaking the hands of the newcomers. Like that's what I try to do to the best of my ability.
And it's working.
Yeah,
It's working.
I think so.
Yeah, because you're all right. You're in front of
Yeah.
me. You're all right.
Yeah.
And you help a lot of other men. To anyone at home watching that is suffering, or just like looking for any kind of hope or inspiration, like what is it that you have to say to them?
You're not alone in this. You know, there's a lot of people that struggle with substances, and there is a way out. And to look towards the men or women that that have what you want, and that's not in physical nature, just the way they carry themselves, to be able to have dignity and integrity and self-respect, and those are the things that I've gotten back.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming
Yeah.
on the show. It was a pleasure to have you, and it's a pleasure being in the recovery community with you as well. For those of you at home watching, if you want to get connected with Derek, if you like anything that he had to say, you thought he might be helpful to you, you want to know about his sober house, please reach out to us on our Facebook page. I am a heroin addict. Yes, I said I am a heroin addict, and go ahead and send us a message, and we will connect you with Derek. As always, have a good day.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.